From the worst season to the best? Maybe. Season 81 is called Grenadier Strike, everyone's favorite troop, but there's already some key things this season which might be worth trying out. First, good news for some people, there's no Seekers or Rocket Choppers this season, and like it says right there, they misplaced an engine room, so we'll see that later on. And the things we'll also see are some cool troops that we don't see too often in warships. But right away, of course, we have Grens to start, but if you really don't want Grens, got some other options. There's warriors or rifles, both off the main path, and these are the three main troops we're going to have for the early part of the season. Maybe you can choose the top path with smoke, works well with warriors and troop damage, or if you want more defense, there's mines, mortars, and this multi-node. A pretty standard start, and in fact, this two engines with the deck and exactly how it is exactly the same 2ER in Season 26, but the whole rest of the tree is brand new. Now as we go to 3 engines, I guess a cool layout, you can have one engine on one side, everything opens on the top, and in 3ER, you got your choice with most of the heroes. Everyone except Brick and Rudy, in fact, there's no Brick this season, and a choice node. No matter what troop you choose, it gives 4 extra levels, so a lot more health and a lot more damage. And another cool thing about this season is everyone's gonna have exploding drones. This might pair really well if you already have smoke, because whenever you drop drones, they are shocked for a few seconds, and until they're unshocked, other defenses can kill them. After that, we have our only boost node this season, and it's all offense based, some troop health, troop damage, or GBE. So this means at 3 engines, you can have a max of 90% troop damage, and I guess only a dumb nerd would lay out all the info on exploding drones level and troop damage. Anyways, you can see right there they're scaling. Keep in mind that 3 engines have 20,000 HP, and 4 engines have 30,000. Now drones are pretty expensive, especially in the later levels. First ones, maybe not so much, but level 3 is almost 3/4 of a million, and the final level is over a million. So maybe you want to upgrade them a little bit, and when you have the tokens later in the season, fully max them out. Otherwise we got shock mines, boom mines, and yes, 2 hot pots if you want, or a shock blaster. With our only troops being either Grens, warriors, or rifles, might be a bit tricky choosing which one's going to be best, but later on, you might see some options that make it more clear. As we open up 4 engines, you can see the deck layout. It is pretty defensive. You have this left side, which is a huge dead end, and the right side too. Since we don't have any rocket choppers this season, you can't really use flying troops to deal with this deck. So what else do we have at 4 engines? First, you can see right there, we have stunners, Gren's half-brother, and this is a first season which has a new and improved stunners since the last update. The main improvements was they do a small amount of damage, but also their stun duration does increase with level. But before that, we got also a choice node, so you can't have barrage, artillery, and shocks this season, you gotta only choose one. Shocks are of course really important, but early on, you might want barrage or artillery to just take down engines. Whichever one you choose, it is max level, so you can have your pick on whatever you want. And as you mentioned with stunners, level 1 has a 8-second shock, then it goes up by half a second, all the way until you max it out with a 10-second shock. Beyond that, you got some Mega Scorchers or mechs, and this one isn't even a troop boost, it's choose your own troop. Medics and protectors are sure cool, but we have Dr. Vitamin again, one of the strongest proto troops ever. Because not only does it heal troops, it also boosts their damage, their speed, and makes them take 50% less damage from any building. So it could be especially strong with any warriors or rifles early on. Something to consider. Another ability node. Turrets might be pretty strong because, well, they do a lot of damage, and the more troop damage you have, it does add up. Maybe throwing a bunch of turrets next to the engine just to take them out. This means even with a more defensive deck like this, we have some engines in this side with a lot of buildings, there's a chance that you can take it out with only abilities. Maybe barrage to kill some buildings, drones to take one engine out, turrets for another. Just a lot of room to be creative. Now with a lot of offense, you gotta match it with some more defense. So we do have bunkers coming back. Cool addition that we only had one season. And so far the stats are the same. When you fully max them out, which they are really cheap to upgrade, you do get 4 bunkers, which you can put proto troops in. So when you place them all out, you have your pick on, Mega Scorchers too large of course, but you can put stunners for example. In the past, Grens have also been really strong, because usually they hit the meat shield, and if there's any damage dealers behind, they're the ones that die. So here we can do maybe like a few boats of Grens to see how they interact. We put 2 stunners on the left bunker, 2 Dr. Vitamin on the right, and see if anything happens. Grens of course take a while to hit, but you can see the stunners right there. They do have that full 10-second stun. It does look like the right Grens do outrange it, so if you put stunners and bunkers in the right places, it would be really tough for nearly any troop. Because remember, if you use shocks on bunkers, it does nothing. They just don't care. As far as Dr. Vitamin goes, he doesn't do anything inside the bunker, and even once a bunker is destroyed, actual Doctor doesn't heal any buildings. Only in the off chance that another bunker has troops and they take damage, then that Dr. Vitamin can heal them up. But you can see right there, stunners against full Grens, maybe not the best because even stunners can miss. And you might have that amazing interaction of your own Grens hitting other Grens, or in this case stunners and bunkers, and no one does any damage. Luckily, we have a lot of abilities, so you can use drones, turrets, or barrage to take them out. Now one thing that's a bit different is protectors and bunkers. They're not really a strong proto troop, I'd never open it, but just for curiosity, we can see if they do anything. The third option medics we already know are pretty useless, but protectors for whatever reason can get shields on buildings. It's not really a super awesome shield, but they still give it anyways. But that's a main deal with bunkers sorted, except for one other troop we'll see later on. Then you can open up 5 engines. It is pretty similar to 4, just more space on both the left and right. And later at 5, you got both offense and defense. Got machine guns, shock launchers, troop health. Finally, a different troop. You can use lasers if you want. And here's a misplaced engine they talked about. To get it, you need a penalty node, super scary minus 10%. But if you open that 1 key node, then you have your choice to unlock that misplaced engine. It is pretty pricey, 150 keys. Same as this one right here. Essentially, back here is 5 engines, and you have your choice of which one you want as 6 ER or 7. This means what you get right after it, and also whatever deck layout. So if you open this top one last, that's your 7 engines, or the opposite for the bottom. Notice that both need HQ level 20, which means that a few more people might have access to the season. The deck layout though is pretty cool. For the first time ever, we have some space in the deck which no ground troops can reach. And remember, don't even have rocket chops this season. So what happens if you use warriors, rifles, or Grens and you can't reach this engine? Well, I guess we'll find out. Luckily, we do have some other abilities this season to maybe help get that engine out, and it is quite a bit. Here we got a bunch of these engines dying, so what's gonna happen? Well, they're just gonna stand there. I suppose for some reason Grens can still reach, but this does mean you gotta be a bit mindful with GB, making sure that you have enough to maybe use some turrets or even drones to take it out. Otherwise, well, you're gonna have a problem. But because we have so many abilities like drones, you can choose barrage artillery and turrets, I don't think it's gonna be too bad. Besides, later on, you got heavy chops. Or lucky for us, right after this misplaced engine is Rudy, and we know he can fly over gaps. One other proto right here, maybe a gym cannon, and then this other engine. Because we opened the top one first, if we do it like this will be our 7 engine layout. I think it's hard to say if it's better or worse than the other engine, but it is a decently expensive tree, so with everything after this engine, Probably save the misplaced one for last, or even not open it at all. Because soon after this, we can get not only heavy chops but heavies too. We know that's really strong. Proto, 2 Flotties or a shield. And after building health, we got another ability that can take down buildings. Super warriors are really strong, especially because any troop health or troop damage you have, they're affected. Sure, you can also choose Cryobomb or Remote Hack, but having an ability that can take down a big portion of the base might not hurt. The rest of the tree is just a wraparound of a bunch of boosts and some other things. In this case, if you don't open mines and can't even get there, then we'll go back for these guys. And then only 12 keys, but who doesn't want 20 mines? Some more boosts and a few multi-nodes. These do get really expensive. 50 keys for building health, 40 for GB. But is it worth it for that very last node? Melons returning after only 1 season break, and that's pretty cool. Rainmakers, clear cannons also an option, but they're only level 18. Melons a bit more at 20. Especially after the Cryobomber hell last season, it's nice to see Melons back. And for only 20 keys. Now this is a very last node, so it's not like you're gonna get them in the first week, maybe not even the second. But good to know that if you do reach the end, you have a really strong troop. We did mention that there is one other thing we want to show in bunkers, and whether that's good or bad, well, we gotta show it. Since in warships we can put proto troops in bunkers, this does include melons. And the last bunker season, you remember, bombers in bunkers did some splash damage, but now imagine just tripling that. I know it does look scary because just thinking about melons in bunkers, and you can see their little damage right there. They hit one heavy, damaged like all the ones next to it. So sure, any ground troops are gonna suffer a lot, but you gotta remember that even though you got melons in bunkers, you also got melons of your own. So as long as you keep your guys pretty far away, like maybe with flares, then it could be not too bad. Especially because Choppas bring up heavies every few seconds. As long as the melons in bunkers are distracted, your own melons can just deal with the rest. So even though it's a fun, cool thing to see, I wouldn't be too worried. And the final boost, you can see right there on the top left. There is a lot of boost, but a bit more troop damage and building health. It could be 150 building damage, but remember we took that 10% penalty. But overall, a pretty fresh season. The beginning might be a bit rough because, again, only 3 troops we got are Grens, Warriors, or Rifles. But eventually you got cool abilities like drones and turret. You got Dr. Vitamin helping out all troops. And eventually you got some fun ones like lasers, heavy chops, and at the very end, good old melons. But let me know what you think about next season. And that's gonna be it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.